President of Institute for National Policy Research, Dr. Kham, to give the opening remarks. Dr. Kham, please.
Good morning. I'd like to extend, on behalf of INPR, our most sincere welcome to all of you to come to this post-election forum. In fact, we have held post-election forums for many years. For each and every one of the major elections in Taiwan, we always organize such an event primarily for the benefit of the foreign communities in Taiwan.
Calling for switching support to one single candidate so that the person can pour all the resources to unseat Chen Ju, but it failed. Now, the so-called game in Chinese, they say, "qi." Abandon someone will save the other. It failed.
So, from the perspective of about a year ago, the KMT held on to the contested races, and everything else went as expected. Well, kind of. So the KMT, in some sense, beat the pre-electoral expectations. Before the election, in the last 2 or 3 months, there were several opinion polls showing that the race in Taipei City was very close. Eventually, the KMT won by quite a large margin. There were also polls that showed the race in Xinbei City was pretty close. And then the race in Taichung was closing. So a 3-2 result for the KMT is very good. And let's keep our focus on that. That is the single most important result of this election. KMT did actually win the seats that they wanted to win. And
the most important phenomenon of this election is the coming back of DPP. It seems every election is a humbling experience for every politician. The politician will going to watch your feet. The engagement with China will not be reversed. That's everybody agree with that. Even in the deep green community, they agree that because China is very different, and because our economy is very different, and also because the integration of cross trade is such a very to go such an extent that it's difficult to come back. It's no return. Already the point of no return is already passed. And after the election, I think the trade relation will be more aggressive, not necessarily by Ma administration. I think Ma were reluctant to go for more aggressive on trade relations because they are waiting for this coming election. But the fact is that the super male, with their resource and the manpower, each male will find their own small cabinet to run their own mainland policy. And to even DPP's male want to go to China for marketing, for selling their products. So this trend is inevitable. I mean, the KMT and DPP, all want, the male all want to go to China. That way accelerating the engagement with China. So the engagement, the push is not from the central government, but instead by the local government. And the local government and the central government will create some kind of tension after election, because the civil mail has such a bigger mandate than the cabinet, than the central government. So they'll demand more power sharing, more budgets, and they are much more powerful. Mayor. I mean, the mayor is much more powerful because they can appoint so many乡镇长, how do you say that? Township mayor and all this. So much more powerful. So I think in the coming months, there will be a very chaotic situation in our politics, local politics, because new tension arise. And because the super mayor is so powerful, they will challenge their central, their headquarters, their party. So that will create a new problem for DPP also. DPP's propaganda and DPP's mayor's policy will have a conflict, create some conflict. In the end, it means that the engagement will be more close, more urgent than in the past after the elections. And the new DPP is very different. I mean, they are moderate. They are different. I mean, they are very different from APE in personality, in philosophy, in their background. Even it look alike from outside. But you look closer, they are very different. A new DPP is coming on the stage. People, not only Tsai Ing-wen, very different, but also Su Jiaquan is very different. And Lai Ying-de, the new mayor, Lai Qing-de, new mayor of China, all very different, new generation. They have new perception of relation with China and new understanding of the history of Taiwan. So, so the KMT also have some reform. I mean, new measure. I mean, this time KMT is try to do their best. I mean, to maintain some kind of principle. So they are now spend as much money as in the past, and they don't talk to this faction, local faction. That's like Dr. Ten Mao mentioned in the first section. And also Dr. Ten also remind us about the media relation with China. The media play a very important role. The media, China spends so much advertisement on Taiwanese media. The media, the newspaper and special newspapers dying, they suffer so much. So the government become the most important customer of the advertisement. And mainland China also spends so much money on the newspaper advertisement here. The revenue is become a mainstay of the some of the newspaper here. That means a lot. You can imagine the implication of the advertisements. And the Tai Sang, of course, the businessman. But I think China is now in a hurry for unification. I think the integration and the finalization is good enough for China. To put Taiwan under Chinese influence is good enough. Taiwan is a key for China to go to Pacific. And because the improvement of trade relations, China is more aggressive in their dealing with Japan, with South China Sea and East China Sea. The reason why they have so much problem with Japan, with South China Sea, because the improvement of trade relations. So I think Beijing is very appreciate Ma Ying-jeou. They need Ma so much. But they also realize DPP is different. And they realize Taiwan's politics, the rotation of power is going to stay, the pattern of rotation of power. Taiwan is such a plural democracy. So they realize the engagement with DPP is inevitable. So both way, I think Taiwan will face a very new horizon in the months to come. Thank you.